All right, everybody, welcome to the stream. Let's go ahead and switch you to our Storm King's Thunder. We are back on our Monday night game night. Hopefully, everybody agreed they want to go a little bit longer tonight, so we might actually have more adventure for you than normal, which would be cool. But we'll see how that goes. We'll get to that endpoint and see what everybody says.
Teaser.
Yeah. So the big thing, let's go ahead and get wrapped around. I don't know if anybody wrote up a recap of last week, so I didn't know if anybody was ready to just voice the recap. Did anybody volunteer last week? I don't remember if they did or not.
I think I did, but I wrote one either way. And I have posted it. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. If you want to read your recap of last week's game, that would be great. Our listeners would enjoy that.
Cool. So I didn't really write anything down last session, so hopefully I didn't forget anything. So as we annihilated the remaining orc raiders, we encountered elves of the Ardreth forest. The leader seemed to be a male elf. He also shared the burden and blessing of having blue eyes. His name was Rowan Arrowhome of the Ardreth forest. They were chasing the orc raiders from their forest and continued to do so after stopping to speak to us for a moment and for us to ask of the idiot humans of Nightstone. During this encounter, one of the female elves decided to be a problem. Arrowhome was able to keep her in line until they left. She never named herself, but she was just as Shava back home, thinking that her age gives her reason to speak when no one cares to listen. She had issue with the Drow. Now, I'm no lover of the Drow, but I'm also no idiot. It was clear this one was not bright enough to realize when to shut up and stand down. Talking was always something Belanaville was better at. I allow my actions to speak for me. I stood in front of our ailing Drow, who seemed to seemingly having the air knocked out of him as he was quieter than normal. Maybe he has issue with elves of the forest. Who knows? But as she aimed her bow, I stood in front of him. As this Shava remake left with the hunting group, she dared make a statement for her leader, saying she'd strike down the Drow if he ever entered the forest. I like to see that Branwada try. We set to making plans for the rest of the day after they left, choosing to rest after being battered by the small army. I'm sure the young high elf was ecstatic about waiting another day to help the captured humans. A few hours into our rest, the mercenaries returned once again looking for passage into the town. This town has proved to be more trouble than it's worth. I don't understand the idiocy of humans, so I allowed one of the remaining guards of the town to deal with the decision. I will be glad to be out of this unnatural stone build and into the wilderness. The mercenaries were let into the town, and after my group dealt with them, the dwarf gathered the high elf and myself to ask us of the Zentarum. It appears that this person they have a bounty for is in trouble with this group. I was once approached in Waterdeep after dealing with a human who thought that putting his hands on me was a good idea. By a dwarf and a human man, they spoke of family and needing people who can take care of themselves and their family, and it would be worth my time. I have no interest in such endeavors. I have true family and the village whose life is mine. Whispers around the town said that they were a group after riches, whether you consider that to be money or information. Also, the occasional side remark making fun of their motto, saying that they were not honor bound, that everything and everyone has a price. If anything, it makes me less wary of these mercenaries' presence in this town. This place has nothing to offer the greedy, at least not anymore, and they are actually mercenaries looking for a bounty. I continued to take watch as the mercenaries settled into the inn and in the middle of the town. The sooner we are out of here, the happier I will be.
So yeah, that awesome. That was perfectly done to bring all of our viewers back up to speed. The only thing I would add to that is a little bit that you guys would not have seen, still being in the town, was that 3 of the orcs ended up chasing our bard south. And after a kind of a running chase that was happening, they were slowly starting to catch up on our bard. And the elves, after they left the scene of Nightstone, continued to chase the orcs south. and caught up to the orcs before they were able to engage the bard, who was running for his life at the time, and were able to chase off the orcs. The orcs actually saw the elves coming and then veered off, heading back south along the, well, I would say more like a southwest along the river. The bard was able to get back to the road and start heading back to Nightstone as the elves continued to chase the orcs further south. They didn't even stop to talk to our bard. During that, off in the distance, our bard happened to see several riders that were out on the road, but he had been so far away from that road as he was running from the orcs that the riders didn't see him or the orcs, and nor did the orcs see the riders. He just happened to see it through his keen eyes, looking for a place to hide or looking for a place to defend himself if they were going to catch up. But they were mostly just a long running chase scene happened. So there's going to be a point where a group of as was just said, a group of mercenaries came into town, and they were setting up camp, and probably towards sunset, our bard will finally come back into view of Nightstone and be approaching the bridge right about when we come back into our session here. Was there anybody that was going to do either a campfire story or a flashback for their character to earn their inspiration for the evening? Or did you just kind of do both at the same time there, Ian? Because you did kind of a flashback thing there too, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess.
Yeah,
But
so okay. Well, then you get your inspiration for tonight, and we'll call that our flashback, and then whoever wants to volunteer for next week, we can decide that at the end of the session. So you have inspiration.
Unexpected. Awesome.
And for those of you that are watching, if you ever miss an episode, you want to catch up, you can check out the VODs on my channel here at the SirLucien Twitch channel, or you can also check out, I'm putting them up on YouTube. I'm a little bit behind on a couple, but they should be up this week as I get caught back up, and they will all be put on YouTube for me to watch too, which is also the SirLucien YouTube channel. And thanks for Greybeard for hosting. As always, he's keeping an eye on chat for you, so if you guys have questions for us, hopefully a couple of the players that are in there will be able to answer anything if I miss it. As being a DM in Roll20 and a newer DM, it's super hard to pay attention to everything I have going on at one moment. So bear with us. Okay, so let's get our players back over to Nightstone, and let's get this adventure on the road. We're back at Nightstone, and as I'm bringing you guys back into Nightstone, we kind of left off with people talking with our mercenary group. They were setting up camp in the courtyard, as I get us right back. But where would you guys be hanging out after the fact of that? Are you guys still going to be using the church as your area for setup and hanging out and resting before you go do stuff? And it's at this point where, how are you settling in for the evening as the sun begins to go down?
So we're not settling in too long, right? We're heading out shortly, like once it gets dark.
That is a great question that the group will need to answer. But also remember, if you set out this evening, you will remain level 2 and not have had time to gain your level 3 abilities. Or you take tomorrow to do your training montage, gain your 3rd level abilities and extra hit points, and then head out to the caves. But that's on the group to decide.
Guess Greybeard's staying behind. I already advanced my character to 3rd.
So did I. I forgot about that.
Okay. Let's go ahead and bring in... let me bring in our bard, who I think is on... Where did I put you? I hid you somewhere. Somewhere on my screen. see Ayla, who has flown off to return to her village. All right, I'll just bring her back in again. Ardreth, there you are. So, yeah, let's talk about where the group is and what they're doing for as the sun is about to go down. So let's hear on what is the group's plan here. As you can tell that the mercenaries have set up camp. Zolkin has taken a room inside the inn upstairs. His lieutenant is kind of staying near the inn door, which is at the south end of the building. And then various of the mercenaries, both men and women, all human, have set up bedrolls and a little campfire right here in front of the inn. And the horses are in the stable at this point.
I'd like to say, well, are we gonna have watches? Because we're not able to bring this thing up, this drawbridge.
Correct. That is
Yeah.
also an issue at the moment.
So I'd be happy. So are we leaving tonight, or are we staying the day?
I think we need to stay the day, or
Yeah.
at least those of us who level up have.
And while you guys are,
So-
where is the discussion happening? And
I moved myself back into the church.
okay,
Greybeard's gonna spend some time with the mercenaries drinking.
I'll go back to the church.
okay. So yeah, go ahead and move yourselves where you're going to be. We'll say
I
it's right
assume-
about dinner time, just before dinner time.
This guy doesn't come out, right? He just stays there.
Yeah, he's been staying up in the room.
Okay, yeah. Then I'll go back to the church.
Ian.
I mean, we can't leave the front. I mean, I guess where they went back to the guards went back to the keep, right? Is that where they've been hanging out?
Correct. The guards are back tending to the wounded at the keep. I'm going to have Alara start to come back up once I figure out where everybody is.
Okay. Well, do I see her coming? Because I don't want to leave this post until I know someone's going to take it over.
Nope, not yet. You don't see her yet.
All right. So, blah, 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 blah. Fuck. I run out really quick over here. And I'm gonna ask somebody to take watch as I go and run and get a guard to take guard, I guess.
Okay.
And so I run to go look for a guard to ask them to stand
Yeah,
guard.
okay. So Alara is crossing the drawbridge. So it's right at the bottom of the bridge as you start to head south. So you can see her down there. And she's starting to
Alright,
come
cool.
towards you.
All right, so I run up to her and I ask her how Sidiri is doing.
Sidiri's still unconscious, and when you're looking at Alara herself, you can see quite a bit of wounds still on her. She took several blows during the battle in the south, so she's they've got the bleeding stopped, but she definitely is wounded herself. But she was coming to check in, and she says, Sidiri's still resting. We think she's still unconscious, but it doesn't look like she's bleeding any longer, and we hope she's going to pull through. That's what the Druid thought when he looked at her. Kaelin is watching over her now in the barracks, and that's it of the guards. The other two have died.
So there's 3 of them left.
Yeah, yep. 2, yeah. 1 unconscious, 1 hurt badly, and Kaelin, who wasn't hurt but is watching over Sidiri at the moment.
All right, and so I ask Alara if she could stand guard for the next few hours as we take a rest so we could take over watching throughout the night?
Yeah, I can take guard. She said, I think I can be there for an hour or so, but then I'm gonna have to rest her. And you can see there's still blood on her armor, and she needs to clean it up, and she's gonna need to rest herself pretty quickly.
Oh no, I feel you. I have like a huge gash on my side. All right. I say thank you very much. One of us will come in and replace you as soon as we can.
Okay.
And
Yeah, and she walks with you back, and then she'll go to the actual tower.
heal, and then I tell Jarrel that she's taking watch, so we can go discuss and rest or whatever we need to do over in the church.
Okay.
And head
Very
back to the
good.
church. Easy.
So now we've got everybody but Greybeard in the church, correct?
If it's still dinner time, I guess I would not be drinking yet. I'd be at the meeting.
Okay, so go ahead and move yourself into the church area. Jarrel, you're going to be at the church, or you're going to stay on guard too? Okay, so let's cut to the scene of the group is there. Maybe you guys are breaking out some of the rations that you have. You're kind of sitting amongst each other, some still with a few wounds here or there. We're still kind of before our short rest or our long rest you guys are about to have. And what's the group going to do? This is your chance to kind of discuss what to do next.
So
I think for the next 24 hours, we're probably going to be leveling up, right?
yeah, in a meta sense, yeah.
I feel if we took a day and trained, we'd be much better off going after the villagers after that.
That's a very good way. Yeah, now that we've seen how they fight and how they organize, we should take a day to process that information. So when we go in, we are more equipped to destroy them.
Plus, I found this invisibility scroll I want to check out in the library.
Yeah.
So you don't have to run away anymore?
I'll still run away. You just won't see me run away.
Spending your day reading, of course.
Boring. I roll my eyes. High elves.
I agree. I don't think we are prepared to go north yet.
This might also be a chance for you guys to correlate the information that you've gathered as far as where you're going to be going and what you've found out. 'Cause I'm not sure everybody knows all of that information yet.
Yeah, so I kind of joined late last week. So it sounded as though we were going to wait for darkness and then head north to the caves.
Well, that was their plan
Okay.
before we leveled up.
Right, but after we level up, that can still be our plan, right?
I mean, do we have to rest? After our day, Lucian?
No, I envision that if you go through tonight, that'll be your long rest. You'll wake up in the morning, you'll do a montage throughout, I would say, at least most of the day. Maybe at least half of it. And then from there on, you can decide what you were going to do at that point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
Only
you would
the-
either still have daylight and could go, or you could wait further into the evening and go, or you could say, we don't care about the villagers and leave. I mean, there's a lot of options there.
Can I ask a DM question?
Definitely.
What is the rule for sleep or lack thereof?
Exhaustion.
Yeah. There's no rule specified that I looked. I looked quite a bit to find out
Yeah, I
when
did too.
somebody gains exhaustion. They get it versus some type of spell state or some type of missed saving throw off of something like a poison or harsh conditions. Lack of sleep can be one of those, but there is no rule to say when does lack of sleep happen. To me, I would think if you were to go probably a full 24-hour period with no resting at all, then we would start looking at possible points of exhaustion and moving into the exhaustion mechanic. So I would think, a 24-hour period, and then we would look at it.
Okay, so what would you consider sleep? So the reason I'm asking is, like, if we train during the day and we want to leave at night when it's dark, like, do we have to take a nap, or is a nap sufficient? Do we have to do a long rest?
No. I'm thinking when you're taking it easy throughout the day, I don't think we'd even look at that. The only time we would look at it is if, like, let's say 20 orcs are chasing you, and 24 hours later you guys are still running from orcs, and you've never really had a chance to stop except to maybe get some water, breathe, take a 2-minute break, and then start running again. That's when I really think we would take a look at it. Not versus we're hanging out in a village doing some training, but also doing some meditating, doing, kind of the normal stuff. We wouldn't even come close to looking at it. I think it's just in, battle after battle after battle, and you guys have not had a chance to rest, then we would look at it.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, so it sounds like we're just gonna train the day, take a little break, like for dinner or something, and just wait for it to get dark. Does that sound kind of like what you guys were talking about last week?
I think we should live a little bit before dark, so we get to right as the sun is going down. I think we should leave, or like a little bit before. So
All right,
when we get to where we want to be, we'll have the most amount of nighttime possible.
So eat and then head out.
Yeah, depending how late we eat. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to give you as much night as possible. I don't want us to get lost for like 3 hours. It's like, oh hey, it's dusk.
Okay.
Does anybody want to train with the bounty hunters, or are we, anybody want to suggest that?
There's nothing they can train me in.
Oh, true. The magic guys probably wouldn't. Yeah.
It's because you're already unbearable.
Da-dum.
Oh, that's so bad.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, I could train with the mercenaries.
Yeah, I think Jarrel would also like to do that. Maybe try and grab some more information from them, or overhear something.
I would not.
Okay, while you guys think about that, also think about, we'll need to know at some point here real quick before we switch scenes, what are you going to do tonight as far as, are there watches, where you're going to be, where you're going to do them, and where you're going to sleep, in case anything might happen, and then we'll move into the montage. But while you guys are thinking about that in the church, let's go ahead and bring Ardreth up the road. So you see a guard standing atop the palisade tower. The drawbridge is currently down. The bodies have been cleaned up at this point, but there's definitely blood and gore, as obviously the pitched battle that you were even a part of. And you realize that, you don't think any of them actually saw you or noticed you during the battle. So they might not even known that you participated in the battle. In fact, so you're not real clear who's inside this town or what was going on. You only kind of saw it from the orc side of the battle happening. And you come up and you do see a woman guard who is watching you approach up to the drawbridge as you get into basically talking distance.
Okay.
And she says, "Hail, traveler. Who goes there?" And it is, the sun is starting to set.
Okay. And I'll keep my hands up a little bit away from my body so that it's obvious I don't have a weapon out. And I'll say, I'm Ardreth Fairfirin, and I'm looking for entry into the town.
And now give us a description of you, because I don't know if we've had a description, but we might have. But let's go ahead and get it again, just in case for viewers that are watching. What does Alara the guard see? What do you look like to her?
From a distance, she sees a human figure, a little bit taller, kind of slight of build, and humanoid from this distance. And speaking to her in common tongue right now. It's got a bow and a musical instrument strung across his back that she can kind of just make the outline of. And other than that, just a traveler's kit and a blanket, sword and a short sword in leather armor.
Awesome. All right. Alara says to you, well, right now this town has seen many trials and tribulations, but if you're looking to seek shelter, you may enter. And then she kind of gestured you across the drawbridge, and then she's going to come down from the tower and talk to you as you come across. She's up on top of the tower that has no windows or anything.
Okay. I will start to walk across the bridge then, and I'll stop here. And
you actually have to climb over a cart that's there. So you notice there's an old cart that sits there. Plenty of blood and gore on that too. Obviously this battle had been quite bloody. And you kind of maneuver your way around the cart, which they put there. And then Alara is standing there. And what you can see in the town now as you get into the town, this is kind of the first time you've seen it. It's obviously a Mott and Bailey style town. It looked like at one time a very, well-kept town, except now you can see large boulders that are impacted into the ground. And these things look gigantic. They look like, several 100 pounds rock, something bigger than even several humans could even pick up. Wow. You see some of the buildings have been smashed, whereas straight through the roof, and you can see into buildings. You can see blood stains all throughout the courtyard of different stuff. It does appear like all the bodies have been moved at this point, but you can see drag marks of, things that got moved or dragged on. Almost many of the buildings have been smashed in some way. You see to your left as you walk in a church or chapel that is with a big broken window in the front side of it. You can see kind of a farm. There's several farms that are within just as you're kind of getting a view of everything. To the south of you, you can hear the stable and the horses in the stable, and even see a couple of them in the pen straight across to you to the east. You see a group of humans that have a camp set out in front of what looks like an inn, which also has been smashed through with several different rocks on different sides. And they have a campfire set up. And as you kind of walk in, a couple of them kind of notice and they kind of keep an eye on what's going on. They definitely have the look of leathered armor, carry weapons, very hardy looking group, definitely used to being outdoors, used to being on the road kind of people. You get the sense, mercenary kind of comes to mind when you're looking at them. Well-armed group of humans. And as you kind of glance to the south, you can see the windmill up on a raised hill. And past that, you can see the keep, which also has been, you can see in different areas, has been smashed. And you even kind of seen some of that as you were coming up the road, some of the smash. So whatever's hit this, I mean, your first idea is, catapult or whatever had been throwing rocks at this town. Like it was a major, there's so many rocks around. As much as that's about as much as you've gotten as far as what you've got from your look as you walk in. And you can see Alara here, and she introduces herself as Alara. She's a town guard, and you can see cuts on her armor. You can see blood that has come out of the armor, but it looks like maybe she's bandaged up a few things. She is holding a spear and wears leather armor. And definitely looks rough for the wear. Like she's definitely had a trying several days, and has that look in her eye as far as that. And she mentions to you as you walk in. She says, "If you'll stay here a moment, I'm going to go ahead and grab some of the other occupants of the town. I'm sure they would like to speak with you." And she kind of walks over to where the broken window is on the chapel.
Before she goes, though,
Oh, yep.
I offer, you look like you've suffered quite the grievous wound there. I could care for that if you'd like.
She looks at you and says, "Yeah, that would be, I had the Druid take a look at me, and he said the bleeding has stopped, but if you think there's more that you could do, certainly."
All right, I'll do Cure Wounds on her.
Okay.
So it's a 1d8 plus. If I knew what my spellcasting ability modifier was, I'd know that piece.
Should be Charisma, I believe.
Is that Charisma? 3.
Yeah. So go ahead and you can type in /R space 1d8 plus 3 in the chat area, and that should roll it for you.
Okay.
Yeah, she's back to full. Okay, and this is the first time we get to see you casting a Cure Light Wound spell. So what does it look like for Ardreth the Bard? What does this look like? What does healing wounds for you look like?
For him, it's actually more of a hands-on type of motion. You can get a light glow from the area that he's touching. So not a real flashy one. A little bit more of a subtle spell with a glowing kind of aura about his hands.
Okay, awesome.
At least in this case while he's close by.
Yeah, and she's actually surprised because she wasn't, when she thought you'd said, "Let me just see if there's anything," and she thought maybe you'd change a bandage or whatever, and then you actually use an ability that she does not have, and her eyes go wide. But she definitely is very thankful, and she definitely seems a lot healthier in the cheeks. The color comes back to her face. All the wounds heal up underneath the arm, and let me put her back at the same. So she's back to full. There we go. Okay. And she says, "Thank you very much." And she says, "If you'll just wait here just a moment, I'm going to go grab the adventurers." And she kind of walks over to this. There's a broken window here that you can see. It's a big broken stained glass window. And she kind of, not really shouts, but kind of calls into the chapel and says, "Hey, we have another visitor. If you might want to come out and have a talk with this person." And then she kind of goes back and she stands with you. So you guys in the church hear that. You hear Alara the guard speak to you through the broken window.
More guests for my inn. I'll be right back.
All right. So you see a dwarf coming. Go ahead and Greybeard. What does Ardreth see as you approach him? Give him a description of what you look like.
So he's got a red bandana, a black vest, a red shirt, red and black striped pants, and 2 scimitars, a great axe, and a quiver with 4 javelins. And he comes with a big smile. He's got a bushy beard with 1 little gray stripe. And he comes smiling with a big paw out like he's going to shake your hand.
All right. Well, then I will offer my hand in return.
Big crushy...
And tell him greetings. My name is Ardreth Fairfield. Good to meet you.
Greybeard. And he kind of really squeezes your paw and says, "Well, I got an inn over here. I don't know if there's any rooms available, some stones through it, but you're welcome to stay."
Is there beer?
There could be.
If there's beer, it sounds good. I'll sleep under a table when I'm done.
Sold.
So
it looks
Alara's
like
kind
you've
of
got
there too.
quite the mess around this place between the blood and the rocks and the stones. Looks almost as hairy as what I encountered in the south on my way here.
a giant cloud city throwing boulders from the sky?
Oh, only 3 orcs, not quite as tumultuous as stones falling from the sky.
Oh, okay. All right, well, let me introduce you to some good folks, and then I'll turn you over to the thugs at the inn.
Alara is going to bow to you as you two are discussing that, and she says, I'm going to resume my post, and she's going to move back to the top of the tower. And she said, well met, Ardreth. And she goes back and stands watch up at the tower. She actually lights 2 torches first at the front of the gate as it's starting to get dark, and then she climbs back up on top of the tower. All right, group in the chapel. Is Greybeard the only one coming out for greeting, or?
I go over to the window that's broken, and can I see them out there from there?
Yeah, yep, you can see them.
So.
Yeah, you see, and you could probably overhear him. It's not that far over. Greybeard's not being quiet.
On the way over too, I start talking to Greybeard in Dethic, which is the Dwarven common tongue, right? Asking him how he fares and how the fight went for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the bear was hogging all the kills, but, I got a good lick in here and there. I showed him. I took a bunch of hits and shoved him off.
So this building here is the inn that Greybeard's talking about. And then, are you just going to the door? Because the lieutenant's still kind of standing at the door, or are you bringing him into the chapel?
I was taking him to the chapel.
Okay.
I said I would introduce him to some people first.
Yeah. Okay. And you're just going to follow along?
Yep.
Ardreth? Okay. Yeah. So you guys are in the chapel, and you walk through a door that's basically right in this area, and you see Ardreth as you walk in. You see a chapel that has several wooden pews. It's pretty sparse. You see several people resting in various stages of sitting or standing or hanging out or even laying down as you enter the building. You do see signs of a scuffle even inside this building, so it's obvious that there probably was a battle in part of this building. There was a large scuffling outside of this battle. There was blood and various things as you walked around. So there's definitely been a big battle right in this area, in fact. And just before you walked in, you noticed to the north a graveyard. So there's a graveyard that's attached to this chapel.
Okay.
And then you walk in, and I will let the other characters kind of describe themselves to you. What does Ardreth see? Go ahead and give him a description of you guys. So as he sees the different people.
Can I introduce him real quick?
Sure.
First I say, I look at you, and I look at Armel, and I look at you, and I look at Armel, and I'm like, well, he kind of looks like you. That's Armel. And then I look at Jarrel, and I say, he's dark elf, that's Jarrel. He has as many whiskers as my mum. Then there's Teagray. He's all right. I didn't know he was a guy until like a week ago. And then there's Ian, who rocks. She has a great bow. And who else? Who am I missing? Nope, that's it.
Dwarves think everyone who's not a dwarf looks alike, so don't be offended by him. No.
I've met many in my time, and I'd have to say the impression of looking alike isn't common, or isn't a stereotype amongst just dwarfs of others, but of others of dwarfs.
And in this close proximity, would they be able to tell you're half elf at this point?
I mean, I've got elvish ears, right?
Okay.
But red hair.
Yeah, because I don't know if we have any other half elves. Do we? Everybody else full elf?
Me human. Thank you very much.
And
Full
a
elf.
human. Yep. Well, your tokens look pretty similar. You guys look like your brothers.
I just went to a page that said, I want to worship him, and found that one. And it was the soulmate picture right next to it. So
Yeah.
we were good to go.
Okay, so yeah, as Greybeard's describing you, who did you start with, Greybeard? Who did you introduce first? Was it Jarrel?
Armel.
Oh, Armel. So Armel, go ahead and give him a physical description so he knows what he's looking at.
I look like a woodsman with red hair, and I'm actually sitting in the corner meditating. But I will crack an eye and give you a head nod in greeting.
All right. And then the next person introduced was
Jarrel.
Jarrel. So go ahead and give him a description of Jarrel.
So when he makes the comment about the whiskers, Jarl kind of glances sideways at Greybeard and says, "You dwarves are very strange. I guess there's no modesty within the dwarven family. I don't know why your mother would let you look at her whiskers."
All
so-
right.
So Jarl, he kind of wears a leather, not a cape, but something that kind of drapes down the back. It covers the shoulders. It's leather. It's buttoned in the front. It's pulled down so you can see his hair. He's got you can see his elvish ears. His skin is like a charcoal color. He's got a striking white, kind of a goatee. And he's got red eyes. His hair on top is white. It's kind of a styled, I guess. It's a short haircut, but it's a styled haircut. I don't know how to describe that. And obviously you can see he's got elvish ears. Obviously a drow.
Awesome. And I think the next introduction was for Teagray, or was it Ian?
Teagray was next.
All right, Teagray. What does he see as Greybeard is introducing you?
A thin, pale elf with long ears, blue eyes, white hair, dressed in robes with a staff and lots of parchment and papers falling out of his backpack.
Like a wizard name tag. Wizard.
Yep.
All
I
right.
cast spells is what it said.
And then Ian, as the last one to be introduced by Greybeard, as he's gesturing towards you, what does Ardreth see?
You see me leaning against to the side of the broken window. I'm looking at you extremely suspiciously. I have a phenomenal resting bitch face, and that's sort of what's looking at you right now. I'm fair. Oh God, what is it? I have coppery, like a copper tone tan. I have brown hair. I have striking blue eyes. I'm wearing leather armor that covers basically all of me, and what isn't leather armor is a long sleeve shirt under. That is green, so it's brown and green, something to easily match into the surrounding forest. You see a bow sticking out from behind me, probably a quiver full of arrows. I have a dagger to one side. I have a hand axe to the other. And and a staff. And a staff to leaning on one side. So you know how you like cross over your bow where the string's in front of you and it's sort of like a bag. The bow end is sticking out over my right shoulder, and over my left shoulder you see what would be a staff next to my quiver. That's what you see.
All right. Well, it is a pleasure to meet all of you. I traveled many, many weeks to get to this place based on some advice of my mother, and faced a number of orcs on my way to get through here to the town, but I see based on the blood and rocks around that you've had no lack of fun yourselves.
We are all about
Jarl
fun.
raises his eyebrow at the mother comment.
I'm just looking you up and down. Very untrusting.
I thump him with the back of my hand in the belly, and I'm like, "Yeah, mums, see."
So, Greybeard, you said there was beer in this place.
Yeah, maybe. Let's go look.
All right. And so I will go with Greybeard to find beer.
Okay. Yeah, so if you guys are heading over to the inn, you
Time
see
of day is
the sun has just went down, so we're
Okay.
right past that point of dusk, so it is actually gotten dark. The light that you see at the moment is from a campfire around some humans that are near the inn as you come out the door, and then also 2 torches that are lit on the tower so that they can see on the drawbridge. And you're not seeing any lights anywhere else in the village. So you guys want to move over to the door. The door to the inn is on the south side there, and if you're walking over towards that, you see a human kind of leaning up against the door jamb and just kind of hanging out there, and he's kind of watches you to approach.
So as they're doing that, I'm gonna take the other entrance. I'm gonna go through the other entrance. Trying to find the leader guy.
That is the only entrance there. There's the smashed building part up at the top. I don't know why they put a road there that makes it look like there's a door, but there's not.
Oh, okay. All right, then I will follow them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and he kind of looks you up and down as you start to walk up, Greybeard, and he's kind of looking at you questioningly as you're walking towards him.
Questioningly towards Greybeard or towards me?
Towards Greybeard.
Gotcha.
And he's kind of standing in the way-ish of the door.
Hey, fellas, this is Ardreth. He's come to maybe play a song or something, and maybe get a beer or two if anybody's got one.
Yeah, he looks at you and he says, well, yeah, we haven't even checked the kitchen yet. We could go and take a look to see if there's any beer left in the inn.
Well, it's an inn. It would be a sad state of affairs if there was no beer left.
Yeah, he chuckles and says, yeah, that's what our hope is that that is true. But we just arrived ourselves, so we're not really too sure. But yeah, let's go in and take a look. And
Yeah,
there's
let's go check my cellar.
yeah. There is an area that's up toward the kitchen part is up here in the north part of the inn on the first floor. So without moving you guys to the other part of the map, we'll just kind of play it out without moving to there. You guys walk through the inn, which the first room you're in, which is, let me just draw it on the map a little bit. We'll go there. And
So those guys are going to find the beer. I'm gonna peel off and go upstairs to find this the leader.
Peel off is good. I thought you said you were doing something else in the inn.
No.
So this area here looked like the common room, but has been smashed through with a large boulder. And there's a set of stairways that lead up right about here. And then this is the kitchen area. That was kind of this area in general. And this is all just
And
like
I'd
a
like to
hallway.
I'd like to stealth doing that.
Okay, so go ahead and roll. All right, let me do a roll. Yeah, he doesn't notice that you have peeled off at the end there. And he continues on to the door is open to the kitchen area, and you guys can go and try to root through the kitchen to see if there's any beers. And you should be able to find like a cask that and some mugs that you can pick up off the floor as they've been scattered all around, and grab a mug of ale.
And is there any food in there too?
If you're rooting around, yeah, you'll find, various breads and cheese. A lot of stuff has been ransacked.
Perfect. Okay.
And is missing. So this room has the look of being sacked at some point. But you guys are all in that top area.
All right. Well, I'll grab the keg and some mugs and some food and say, Greybeard, let's drink.
Right. Yep. Tell you what, on the house tonight, fellas.
And then he walks you guys back out and back over to the campfire area. You guys have like mugs and, some bread and some cheese or whatever.
I still play innkeeper.
Okay. Okay. So what's the group doing now?
So I'm gonna try and knock on a couple of doors to find the leader.
Yeah, you end up there's 4 rooms upstairs. All the doors are shut. As you come up to the top of the stairs, you can see 2 doors are on the south side and 2 doors are on the north side.
All right, so I'm gonna just use perception to see if I can figure out which room he's in.
Okay.
Ooh.
You're listening, but what you're mostly picking up is maybe the people talking outside. You can hear Greybeard's loud voice. You can hear people walking through the inn, but you're not really getting any sense of where this person might be.
It would be rude to barge in. I'm gonna just knock gently on doors until I find until I get an answer. If I don't get any answer from any of them, then I'll just go back downstairs.
Yeah, you don't get an answer from any of the doors.
All right. So I go back downstairs.
Okay. And you can see they're just, I guess, what's the group doing now that they're just eating and drinking mead, just hanging out with the humans at the campfire, or what?
That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
No, I'm meditating in the church. I'm contemplating
Yeah.
my goals for
Trancing.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Same. Trancing.
All right, I'm gonna go over to the tower and just kind of ask Galara if she needs a rest or anything. I don't know if she's been up all day, if she's had a chance to rest or not.
And I'll start playing some music while I drink.
Okay. She kind of looks over the edge to you and she said, no, I'm feeling much better now. I can probably stay for another hour or two, and then I should go check on Sidiri if you want to come back in an hour or two.
Yeah, okay. So Jarrel agrees to come back in about an hour.
Okay.
So he's gonna go sit and just be a sponge, I guess. See if anything happens. Just observe.
Yeah. So they keep themselves. They listen to the music, and 1 or 2 might tap their feet. Maybe one of them has heard the song before. They're not very talkative. You can tell this is a group that doesn't talk to strangers very often or very much. They might murmur amongst each other here and there. They might have a quieted conversation, and usually they have one quiet enough that people aren't really hearing anything. But you get the sense of people that have been traveling, been on the road for several days. They have a campfire now. They're warm. They're eating and they're resting. And almost in that soldier kind of, when they get to rest, they definitely take advantage of being able to rest.
So I try and I try during breaks between songs or when he's just kind of plucking the strings. I'll just ask Ardreth, a little bit more about himself. Beyond what he's already told us. Anything interesting, where he's from, that sort of stuff.
Okay. What I'm also going to do tonight is I'm going to try to make sure we do breaks on the hour. So what we're going to do is we're going to do but they're going to be shorter breaks. But since we're going to try to go longer, there'll be more of them instead of just the one. So what I want to do is to go ahead and do just a quick 5-minute break. My clock says 05 at the moment. So if we're back at 8, it's 8:10 for me, but whatever it might be in your time zone, we'll come back and we'll get the conversation with Ardreth and Jarrel, and then we'll also move on into the evening. So let's go ahead and do a quick 5-minute break. I'll go ahead and splash the screen so you can see the character sheets for those that are watching, and we'll see you in just a moment.